All right, family. We live again with the general. You already know what time it is. We got number 5 for you. Hot commentary on international, national, cultural issues and topics. That's right. And we're gonna be talking about the United States invasion of Cuba is imminent. This is what they're saying, and I hope that that's not true. I hope that Cuba can go on ahead and throw off communism. Ray, I seen what Ray put in there that Russia is on his last leg. They probably are. They lost the war a long time ago. When they went to bomb and shit, just indiscriminately, they had lost then. They just, they figure they gonna, tear up as much shit as possible. But a lot of that probably was war crimes. When you can't win, you really can't win with your army, with your conventional army, and you just go to bomb and everything that in sight. And so that's exactly what they did. But so they had lost that war a long time ago. They never did get air superiority over Ukraine. All the years they was there, never got and I knew they was gonna lose. You said they about to turn Cuba into a cruise resort. Well, you know what? Well, one way or another, I think they're gonna get, the average citizen gonna get more money over there than they're getting right now. Cuba is in bad shape. Cuba is in bad shape, man. Real talk. A lot of them islands is in bad shape. They didn't starve the peoples over there for many years now. Haiti the same way. They got a few areas where they got some resorts and shit, but the nation is had major earthquakes and that tore up a lot of shit, and they never even recovered from the earthquakes. You feel me? Never recovered, but it's time to that Cold War era between the Soviet Union, and this is what Cuba is a fossil out of that Cold War between the Soviet Union and the United States. It's a fossil. That war ain't, it's not being fought on that level no more. They stuck. They stuck in that era, that Fidel, and I know they want to, but the communism aspect is what fucked it up. Because y'all living like some damn Neanderthals. Y'all want to live like Lenin and Karl Marx and Mao Zedong. You cannot, export that shit all of. Let them live like that if they want to. Even the Chinese gave up on something. You see how China and see, look at that. Look at that. You see, China, you look what China did. China was just like Russia. Matter of fact, well, China was like third. I think Mongolia was second. I think Mongolia was like second when it came to the communism. I think China might have been third, the third nation to acknowledge communism. I don't know. I might be wrong. But China threw off that old cloak. Just that old school Lenin Marxist communism and shit. They adopted capital. It's capitalism. It's still It's still got a communist structure, but they opened that shit up so they could get paper. They was over there with fucking rice patties and shit, and the majority of they people was living in the rural areas. Now today 80% of they peoples is living in fucking cities now. So why shouldn't Cuba do the same fucking thing? Niggas stuck in y'all niggas stuck in that old school shit. You ain't got to stay. Yeah, you can still keep your dignity, still keep your nationalism, and join into the world market where you can, where your peoples can have access, to you got people all over the world, that can help people move forward in their own initiatives, and people got all type of dreams and shit, that they can move around the world and help, and get access to people that can help them, evolve and shit, that's just what it is. And so if China could do it, then I mean, look what China did. They threw that shit off, and became the second most powerful for many. They the most powerful nation in the world. I still think that is still number two, but just based on the fact that Black America is still the dominant culture, even though that's going, you know, we I don't know how long that's gonna be, because niggas just then lost all sense of, and I ain't gonna say everybody, but the dominant mass media, project, the destructive, sides of our people, which is killing, artistry. It is. It's killing artistry. Now, if they put the artist that's really trying to expand and say something, and give them some airplay, that's something different. And they is getting it, but not on the mainstream like that. We not gonna lie. We ain't gonna lie. You see, and try to clean some shit up that don't need to be cleaned up. It do need to be cleaned up, but we just got to say what it is. We just got to say what it is. And so I'm hoping that they do not go into Cuba militarily. And I don't think, even if they did, I don't think it's gonna be no fight. I don't think it's gonna be no fight at all. They and probably, and it's gonna be more money on that motherfucker anyway. Even if it is some goddamn resorts and shit, they need some goddamn resorts. It's a paradise. It's in the middle of the goddamn Caribbean Ocean. Shit, what I say, ocean, the Caribbean Sea. So shit, every other nation is benefiting from tourism and shit. So of course and shit, and so the people can get some jobs and shit over there, and open it up, and then when that open up, a whole lot of other stuff gonna open up. They can get some access, get some computer, access, and I know they probably, but it's probably not on the level in which we think, for the average citizen. So to get in there and modernize the infrastructure, get some internet, get the people in there getting access to the outside world. You can't, this is not a fish bowl. And that's what their communism shit has done to Cuba. They're motherfucker like a fish bowl, where they've been living in a goddamn fish bowl for the last damn 70 years. We got to get them, but I understand, why they went to, why they had a revolution. But when they put that goddamn communism on, and dressed up in communism, they fucked up. Yeah, 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 yeah. The Cuba Cuba need to advance. Cuba need to advance. Real talk. You know, sometimes we too revolutionary, and to the point that we talk it but we don't walk it, meaning that motherfucking revolutionaries in America with all the motherfucking access in the world, and then they say, tell Cuba, y'all keep on fighting for what, motherfucker? You say don't turn them to shit. Well, you can't. No motherfucker can turn you. You understand? Shit. Yeah. Well, they ain't gonna mean them no good. They ain't never mean them no good. Shit. That's why they in the predicament they in. But communism, they both of them, they should have, if they would have had the access to evolve in their own culture without the communism, without the capitalism necessarily, invading Cuba or any other country over there. You see, they would have did a lot better than what they doing. They behind in a lot of shit, man. The infrastructure is like, man, listen, this fucked up over there, and they need to, they need to build their and give their babies a motherfucking opportunity to do something. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Black Power, LA, Black Power. Yeah, well, that's what they need to do. Give their babies an opportunity to do something new. You know what I mean? And get out and explore the goddamn you know, explore the and get from in between the United States and Russia. I tell you that. Get from in between the United States and Russia and just do their motherfucking thing. They should have just gone and overthrew that communism shit and just, fuck it. You got politicians that know how to work the system. Get y'all some money in that motherfucker, upgrade the fucking infrastructure, and develop the minds of your babies, man. You feel what I'm saying? So they can have a stronger nation in the future. But living in a fucking archaic reality, and you ready to take this shit further, you know what I'm saying? And it's about to be 2030, and no, evolve. Got to evolve. Got to evolve. We hope the best for them. Before we get up out of here, family, make sure that you get over there. Patreon. We got some fire for you right there. African avatars, Jedi Knights, and Dragon Warriors. This is an occult, a metaphysical breakdown, Black divinity. You need to tap in, get over there. Also, let's get this one out of here. Let's get this one. Hold on, fam. Oh, I took it out. I don't know why I did that. Okay. Hanuman, evidence of human monkey hybrids in prehistoric India. Man, y'all better wake up. Y'all better wake up. Y'all talk about Yakub and all of this. Well, I'll tell you what, after you see this, you won't look at shit the same. I'll tell you that. So get over there, family. Click the link at the top of the chat, and I'll be right back. Black Pop.